Shabbat Shalom. There's three central themes to the book of Exodus. The first theme is liberty. It's what we rehearse every year at the Seder, and we're taught from the beginning of our studies, let my people go. The war between Moses and Pharaoh is the struggle of the oppressed to be free. Freedom is the prerequisite of life. The more we yearn for it, the more the oppressor resists. This is the universal lesson of the first part of Exodus. The Bible is emphatic. Slavery is offensive to God. It is blasphemy, a crime against God, and therefore the ultimate crime against humanity. We were created in the image of God. We have the spark of the Almighty in us, and to enslave a person is to snuff out the very embers of the divine. All persecution, all exploitation, all oppression, every system and every institution that coerces the human subjugation of human beings to others is an abomination. The second theme of the book of Exodus is also well known: law. Its centerpiece is the Ten Commandments, although there are hundreds of additional biblical laws that emerged from the Bible. As in all legal systems, specific legislation may have changed in accordance with the changing circumstances. Still, our contemporary understanding of justice stems from the book of Exodus. And the Bible is emphatic. Justice is the prerequisite of social life. Injustice is offensive to God. Everyone is subject to the law. No one is above the law, even the king. To perpetrate an unjust system, to pervert justice to your own will and interests, is an abomination. Liberty alone, without justice, without a legal system that is fair, is anarchy. It is the reason that after crossing the sea, Moses marched the Israelites directly to Sinai, the mountain of the law. The sea without Sinai is incomprehensible. Freedom and justice go hand in hand. They cannot be separated. The third theme of the book of Exodus begins in this week's Torah portion: Trumah, tabernacle, Mishkan in Hebrew, or what we would call today sanctuary. Now, practically no one outside of students of the Bible knows that this is the third central theme of Exodus. I mean, if I were to stop you on the street and ask you to tell me, what is the book of Exodus about? I think most American Jews would be able to identify the theme of liberty, freedom, the sea. Perhaps less, but still a large majority would be able to identify law and justice, the Ten Commandments. But I think only a few of you would be able to cite the third central theme of the book of Exodus: Mishkan, tabernacle, sanctuary. This was the portable house of God, the movable sanctuary in the wilderness that the Israelites carried along with them throughout the 40 years of wandering in the desert. Exodus devotes 500 verses, nearly a third of the entire book, to the minute details of the construction of the sanctuary, the tabernacle. Why? Why only 34 verses dedicated to the creation of the universe and 500 verses dedicated to the creation of the sanctuary? What is so important about the sanctuary that it so preoccupies Jewish thought? I think part of the answer is that the sanctuary is the place that we go beyond the law. It is the place that really defines who we are and what we do. We cannot live without the sanctuary. It's why the book of Exodus emphasizes liberty, law, and tabernacle. After the sea and after the Sinai, sanctuary. the three S's of a meaningful life. C, Sinai, sanctuary. The C is liberty. Sinai is justice. Sanctuary is the voluntary institutions we establish that embody freedom and justice and every other value that is important to us. The Bible is telling us that freedom and justice are dependent on the institutions that we build that embody our fondest aspirations and deepest, most thoughtful dreams of who we want to be. After all, we cannot coerce people into living a meaningful life. We cannot legislate every aspect of our lives. Too much legislation can compromise freedom as much as too little. The places that really govern our lives and determine the meaning of our lives are the institutions, the sanctuaries that we build: schools, theaters, museums, cultural and community centers, and of course, houses of worship. This is where we learn how to express and commit to our central values. It is where we learn to live out the true meaning of our creed. There is no law that can convince us to be kind to ourselves and to others. There is no law that can coerce us to fulfill our responsibilities to ourselves and to others. There is no law that will persuade us to love ourselves and others, to be charitable to ourselves and others, to be kind, to be merciful, to be honorable and trustworthy and reliable. These values, these indispensable components of what it means to be human, we learn and express in the institutions that we establish. And these institutions are voluntary. Their quality and their worth are only as good as we want them to be. They reflect our will, our commitment, and our desire. If we are good, our institutions will be good. If we are strong, our institutions will be strong. If we are inspired, our institutions will inspire. And that's why this third S, this third theme of the book of Exodus begins with these words. Vayikchu li truma me'et kol ish asher yidvenu libo. And God spoke to Moses saying, take voluntary gifts from every person whose heart so moves him. Convince the people to invest their resources in these institutions. Ask for contributions. Expect, support, receive funds. Money. Gold, silver, copper, fine yarns and linen, tanned ram skins, dolphin skins, special wood, spices, virgin olive oil, lapis lazuli, stock options, end-of-year bonuses, capital gains. Take whatever a person is willing to bring as her heart so moves her. And there's no pussyfooting around in the Bible. There's no political correctness. There's no mincing of words. Right from the outset, at the very beginning, build strong institutions and ask, expect, demand that the people bring contributions. God warned Moses, don't be shy about this. It takes God 8 verses to reveal to Moses what the contributions are actually for. God first said to Moses, get the contributions. Then, only 8 verses later, God reveals that it's for the sanctuary. The willingness to give That comes first. Because there is no sea, there is no liberty, and there is no Sinai, there is no justice without the people's support and their willingness to fund the institutions that embody these values. It's as if God tells Moses, your primary mission is to inspire people to believe so much, to be so committed that they will do something that seems unnatural to them. They will give willingly of their own possessions, of their own free will. It's as if God tells Moses, look at the world around you, Moses. Societies with weak voluntary institutions are weak. Societies that neglect social institutions, that expect others to do it, that expect the king or the government to provide, they will never be strong. Has to come from the people themselves. Moses, don't make the same mistake with the Jews. Build for me a house that I may dwell among the people, that the values that have been articulated through sea and Sinai will now come to rest and be taught and cherished and expressed in this third S, the sanctuary. The Bible emphasizes that even the construction of God's home, the very dwelling place of the Almighty One, who freed the captive and redeemed the slaves, even building a decent house for God could not be coerced. It was entirely dependent on the will of the people to construct. You understand what I'm trying to say? In her autobiography, former Israeli Prime Minister Golda Meir wrote this about her first fundraising appearance before American Jews in 1948, during the desperate days of Israel's War of Independence. This is what she wrote. I didn't speak for long, but I said everything that was in my heart. I said, the Jewish community in Palestine is going to fight to the very end. You cannot decide whether we fight or not. We will. You can only decide one thing, whether we shall be victorious in this fight or whether the Mufti will be victorious. That decision American Jews can make. It has to be made quickly, within hours, within days. And I beg of you, don't be too late. Don't be bitterly sorry 3 months from now for what you failed to do today. The time is now. Golda wrote, they listened, and they wept, and they pledged money in amounts that no community had ever given before. ויקחו לי תרומה מאת כל איש אשר ידבנו ליבו, תיקחו את תרומתי. Take contributions from every person whose heart is moved to give, so that we can maintain the 3 pillars of a meaningful life: sea, liberty, Sinai, justice, and sanctuary, well-being. Amen.